All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Jocelyn Rubeck. I am president of CBT's Student Advisory Council here at NEIU. It is my honor to welcome each and every one of you to our annual International Business Conference. Your presence here today is truly appreciated, and I would like to express my gratitude for taking time to join us in this exchange of ideas and insights. Being part of the team that organized this conference has been an incredible experience. Witnessing the collaborative efforts and dedication of everyone involved has been nothing short of amazing. The impact of this event on our students is immeasurable, providing them with valuable perspectives and knowledge that extend beyond the classroom. I extend a heartfelt thanks to our esteemed speakers for sharing their expertise with us, and a special appreciation to Tracy Payne, our keynote speaker. Now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Dr. Michael Bedell, Dean of the College of Business and Technology, who will share a few short words with us. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Glad to see you're here skipping classes. Sorry. I'm delighted to be here this morning with y'all. As mentioned, I'm Mike Bedell. I'm Dean of the College of Business and Technology. And I'm really proud of this conference because this is the 23rd year that we've done a student-run, student-organized, student everything business conference. And it's taken various themes over the years as it's evolved. And every year there's new ideas for the next one. I'm looking forward to today and on into the future. You know, the whole student run, student organized, et cetera. I mean, what better way to take your business and tech education and apply it? You know, this is a great way to practice. There's a ton of logistics involved. There's a ton of where you must be social. In other words, reaching out to speakers and figuring out how do I, what do I do to convince that person to come in and talk? That's something that, oftentimes we hear our students aren't prepared to do, but, here's one more opportunity where they can practice. And so I just love this conference for that value that it adds to our students each year. I guess the other thing I need to do is take a moment and introduce a good friend, our interim president, Dr. Katrina Bell Jordan. Her bio is in the program, so I'm not going to read it to you. But suffice it to say, she's been at NEIU for a long time. She loves NEIU like we all do. And she's been a great supporter and a great partner, whether department chair, dean, I guess associate dean, and now interim president. She's been a great supporter of the college, and we thank her for that. So without taking too much more time, I will simply introduce my good friend, Dr. Katrina Bell Jordan, and ask her to come up and give the opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. How are you today? And thank you to my colleague, Dean Bedell. It is truly a pleasure to be here this morning and to welcome you to Northeastern for those of you who are here and are joining us online. I can't believe it's the 23rd conference over the last 27 years that I've been here. Then for the majority of the time that I've been here, we've had this opportunity for our business students to show their leadership and show their preparedness for the industries that they will be taking. And so being here today in the role of interim president, it is truly a pleasure to welcome our faculty, our staff, and our students and other guests who will be joining us over the course of the day. As Dean Bedell described, this is a really special conference, and each year the College of Business and Technology does gather industry professionals and experts in the field of international business to participate with our students. And this program is indeed tailored for our students and by our students to increase their understandings of the global business landscape and to assure their preparation for success in this ever-changing and expansive dynamic context. Now, since the launch of the International Business Conference at NEIU in 2002, it has become a key symposium. We are proud that it is one of the university's signature programs. The conference brings together, as you'll see this year, a diverse group of speakers to engage in a diverse array of topics that help our students connect their academic study to their career goals and to equip them with the kinds of skills that we know they will need to thrive, you will need to thrive and grow in your professional lives. Organized by the College of Business and Technology Student Advisory Council, this conference is driven by the energy and enthusiasm of our student leaders, and it elevates the importance of their vision, your vision, for the kind of professional development and opportunities that we know and that you believe will encourage and inspire your growth as professionals. This is truly centered in particular in focusing on creating opportunity for active interaction among students at all levels and across a variety of different business fields to focus on, how they can learn from these industry experts, to provide insights and perspectives, and to share advice, for these folks to share advice that will be formative and supportive of our students' own educational and professional journey. And it's important to note that whether our students are majoring in business, economics, or any professional field, this is a key conference to help support and grow leadership across the spectrum. This year's theme, the 2024 International Business Conference, focuses on the decade that lies ahead and the business world and the global world that we will face on an international scale over the next 10 years. So when you take a look at the program that's online, you'll see that from this year's conference program, there's an excellent lineup of concurrent sessions. And with that, on behalf of the faculty, students, and staff of Northeastern, I would like to thank the leadership and energy behind all of this work and the lineup of talent that you're going to have access to today. First of all, I would like to thank College of Business and Technology Dean Michael Bedell, Dr. Tong Ku, our Assistant Professor of Accounting, Business Law, and Finance, as well as the faculty and staff of the College of Business and Technology for their stewardship of the college and ongoing commitment to advancing the professional development and success of your students, our students, Northeastern students. I'd also like to thank Jocelyn Rubeck, NEIU marketing student and president of the American Marketing Association and CBT Student Advisory Council. She's still back there working even while she's getting her appreciation here. As well as the volunteers. You all don't see the number of folks from across the university who quietly support the development of a program of outstanding speakers and panelists each year. And it's their contributions that make the conference a success as well. As a point of not just college privilege, but personal privilege, as a former mentor and friend of mine as well, I'd like to offer special recognition to the late Durwood Huffler, Distinguished Professor Emeritus of Marketing and Management in the College of Business and Technology, who helped create the annual International Business Conference and served as its advisor until 2017.
Good afternoon again, and welcome to the International Business Conference. So we're going to have great sessions about living in Latina world, presented by LindaDel Bosque, right, and Samantha Alvarez. So I would like to give you short introductions for LindaDel Bosque. She is the founder of the Chico Latina magazines. Linda journey with the Chico Latina magazines underscore the significance of passions and resilience in fostering diversity and inclusivity within the Latina community. Her work has provided a platform for marginalized voices, inspiring change and empowerment. Linda's story epitomizes the importance of determination and self-belief in the overcoming barriers and shaping a more inclusive future. And um, the second speakers with Linda today, Miss Samantha Alvarez. Samantha's founders of Inspirate marketing companies must her non-profit expertise with digital innovations to empower brands through Inspirate. She fosters genuine networking among entrepreneurs, championing collaboration for mutual success. Proudly from Chicago, her humanitarian ethos drives authentic relationships, buildings, and community empowerment. So please give a big and warm welcome for Linda's and Samantha's. Okay.
I'm LindaDel Bosque with Chicago Latina Magazine, and I'm so excited to be here in this space with each and one of y'all to talk about what is it to be a Latina in this world, right? What does that look like? We understand we've had different struggles with our parents, our families. We've had different areas of having to break barriers, whether it be language barriers, financial barriers, and how do you find those resources? Well, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that today. So show of hands, how many are y'all in your first or second year or third year here? And out of you, how many of you are looking to go into the business industry to continue? And out of that, how many are you looking to make a change in that industry? So good. So you already know that change is needed, right? It's continually evolving. So, but how do you make the change? How do you know to go into these spaces as a minority and influence the other person about the importance of you making that change? It's really about finding about who you are as a leader, right? So we know that Latinos and Latinas, we have a very robust culture that is deep rooted of just excitement. And we know and understand and we can communicate with one another. But when you cross over sectors in business, learning your strengths and learning your skills and your weaknesses only makes you stronger as an individual. So I'd like y'all to write down this book that I've read. I wish I've read. It's called Emotional Intelligence 2.0. So when I began the launch of Chicago Latina Magazine, I read the book. You have to buy that new because it's a very easy read. It's like 150 pages. And it's a test in the back. It's a personality test. So you're able to see what your strengths and weaknesses are. So before I actually took this plunge into taking over this space with Chicago Latina Magazine, I truly felt that I was the warrior and I was going to go save the world. And we just came through the pandemic and working with the state of Illinois and finding our numbers were terrible. I had the biggest shock because my influencers, the people I need influence, they didn't understand numbers for Latinos, especially in this area in our neighborhoods. So I figured, so I went from A to Z back to A, going, wow, I need to look at myself first. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? How can I come out to these industries and make a change in the business landscape? So if you have an opportunity, I encourage each and one of you to read it, look at your skills, see where your weaknesses are, and find resources online to improve your weaknesses so that you can be the change. This is a Latino world. It is going to grow. Our numbers statistically right now show that by 2050, Chicago is going to be primarily Latino. I mean, that's huge, right? And something that I'm sure that we haven't really come to the tables to get prepared for, right? But we have, this is perfect opportunity to do that. So changing the way you think, changing how can I solve a problem? Anytime you go into a solution or into a problem, you have to be the solution. So finding Chicago Latina magazine was something I was finding a solution to bridge the gap of resources for different communities across the Chicagoland area. The organization is now becoming nonprofit, and now we have close to 100 members that are Latino women who are skilled and talented and have actually grown into their passion and want to contribute back to our communities to make it stronger. So me foreseeing this opportunity, working with the state as a navigator to help bridge resources for Latinos during the pandemic was an opportunity for me to see I can solve this problem. So anytime you're in a room in business, there's always going to be a problem you have to solve, right? Well, then you always have to take that measure and saying, what's the solution behind it? Chicago Latina magazine is a direct impact outcome from the pandemic, from COVID-19. We're a bilingual publication. And one of the things that we know and understand, it's not easy for Latinos to navigate still to this day. It's not easy for us. So when we're able to actually create a space like this, find mentors, being able to find your talents, your skills, your weaknesses, and be proactive to what you'd like to do. You all in this area, in this space, in the school have so much opportunity of growth. Absolutely. There is no reason why we are unable to go and achieve our highest level, especially at y'all's age, because the resources are now becoming surreal. They're here. You're able to grow from them. We have a beautiful state because, for one, it's a blue state, but we do believe in diversity and inclusion. So you will hear this DEI go, it's a very diversity and inclusion. Do y'all know what DIE is in spaces at work, at corporate organizations? Y'all familiar with that? So DEI it was a wonderful department that companies began to build out to create a more transparent space, to be more exclusive and inclusive for different demographics and targets to help become more one, right, organization, which shows productivity. So look for spaces that way. I encourage you, if you are looking to work for an organization, make sure they have that department. Because in that way, you know you have a team of people who are there to support you. So that is the number one thing. If you are looking at an organization to work with, to intern with, make sure that they have that department in there. One of the things that I always tell my nieces and nephews is please make a 3-year plan. And I will tell readers that as well, because our readers are mothers. They're now graduates from college, right? They're young professionals. So we really want to be able to think, what does it look like in this world? Even though it's changing so fast, what does it look like? So please start to learn to make a 3-year plan and look at your profession as an ever evolving. Don't stop. If you want to become an entrepreneur, you need to work, become an entrepreneur and work. Grow your skill sets. And how many in this room have a LinkedIn account? Oh, good. And how many of you post on it regularly? Okay, 1, 2, okay. So each and one of you in here, if you're going into business, no matter if you're looking to intern, work for an organization, you should all have a LinkedIn account. You need to begin scrolling that website. So even though it's an old application, it's not as cool and fun as TikTok, I get it, but you need to do that. I say that, I encourage you to do that because you will start creating that space of engagement. You'll start reading what other people are doing. And if you can have the opportunity, read 1 or 2 articles off LinkedIn a month. One of the biggest things that will hold us back as Latinos in here is not embarking on opportunities of resources. We are so fast to go get a full-time job because we have to help our parents, right? That's embedded in us. We don't have time for internships. We don't have time to save money to go to this or engage with other community social groups or student orgs, right? We don't have time for that. We have to take care of our sister. We have to take care of our little brother. we are now splitting family responsibilities. So it's up to you as an individual to take responsibility and accountability of your time management and create time for yourself and invest in yourself. So, and if you're at home, create that on LinkedIn, read one article, even if it's once a month, make time for yourself because that is going to help boost and create sustainability within yourself. Remember, when you are leaving an institution like Northeastern, going into the work field, you are now a part of a solution. So what's in your toolbox? As a Latina or Latino, what's in your toolbox? We're bilingual. Yes, that's great. Are we asking to be paid double? Are we asking to be paid a little bit more? Because we are too. And companies are going to start looking to hire more Latinos in the industries because they need that two-way path communication, right? So think about it. And if you're not a Latino, you speak another language, think about that as well. It is very important for you as an individual to look at yourself and invest in yourself continuously, right? So think about what your parents have gone through to get where they're at today. Think about your ancestors before that. Imagine you in 5 years where you will be at because you've taken the time to invest in yourself. You're here this evening listening to me. Who am I? I'm a Latina that owns Chicago Latina Magazine. Though that is something that I do, that's who I am, right? So who are you? And start engaging in that person. Who am I? What does it look like? How am I making a difference in this world? How am I finding solutions? So one of the things I was able to do with Chicago Latina Magazine is we transitioned to a nonprofit. I thought I'd be a private company. I'll start selling advertising. We'll do all this cool stuff and everything. But really, I started listening to Latinas and our readers. And they're like, wait, we want to be a part of that. We want to do something with you in this. We want to invest. And so the model of of the company started changing into an organization. And then my personal interest, investing in myself, is how do I contribute back to my community and create a legacy not for myself, but for all the Latinas here? What does that look like? Because I know what it feels like when I'm unable to voice my opinion. I may look angry. I may sound too quick. How do we find that space of acceptance and give back and mentor to our other Latinas so they can grow, that they don't have this resilient support, maybe not at home. Maybe they do, but they don't have it somewhere else at work. Maybe they have questions. How are we able to engage with our other generations so they can continue paving it forward? So that's why Chicago Latina Magazine is more than just a magazine with advertising. We are now changing it as our sponsors and growing a nonprofit organization to provide spaces to engage and educate other Latinos about how to persevere and thrive within their own space. So I appreciate you actually listening to me. I would like each and one of you, if you have your cell phone, you go to Instagram and look up Chicago Latina Magazine. And just because it's Latina doesn't mean you're Latino, doesn't mean you can't follow. We do highlight Latinos también because we know and understand the importance of what the man figure is in our family, our household, right? It's very important. So we don't want to break up the partner dynamic, rather be, whatever that looks like. We want to be able to we'd like to represent all Latinos and all genders. Does anyone have a question? Okay.
Yeah, thank you for coming. My name is Kevin. I have 2 questions. Can I connect with you through LinkedIn? Perfect. Okay. All right, that's one. And then I work for the Student Media Board. We're having a Latino Expo this year. And I don't know if you guys would like to be part of it. We connect through LinkedIn. We could talk more. Yeah.
That's great. What are y'all doing in that?
So basically helping the Latino community know more about education and the scholarships, the Northeastern and all these things. So we're getting, yes.
Yes.
So
I'm actually going to be a part of, I'm helping with that. Yeah,
Oh,
not
perfect.
really There and support, yes.
Perfect. All right, then.
Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you for coming.
I appreciate that. And so this organization that's coming on April 4th, right? What is it called? The what?
Latino Expo,
And
yeah.
who's it put on
Uh, so Mary, Student Media Board,
yeah.
yeah, Student Media Board.
by? Right?
Yes.
Latino Expo.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm definitely going to be there. I'll be covering it as well, and I'll be letting our members know how to plug in and come out to the event too. And that's what we need. Call for action, right? What else do you think that we need? What, if you think about on the landscape as a Latino, Latina in this world, what are the main three things that we need attention to? Because anyone, yes, go ahead. Yes.
So, yeah, I'll let you guys figure it out. Yeah. So I'm working on a research paper on why Latino male students aren't successful in higher education. And it all starts from the education system. That's something that I see that there's a lot of trouble starting from high school all the way to college, how the structure is built.
No, I cannot echo that enough. It's all about education. So I didn't get to finish my degree in college, right? I'm from Texas originally, came to Illinois or Chicago through American Airlines. I worked for corporate. And I wanted to move to Chicago. I just needed a reason. So I found a school, interior design school, to attend. So as I was a student there, I then met my daughter's father. We got married, that love story, because we have a peer pressure, right? As Latinas, please be married by 25, have your children, and continue going with your family. And so I felt that pressure. I'm a statistic. I dropped out of college and I said, I got to do this because my mom, my dad need me to hurry up and get married and have children and everything. Yeah. And it just didn't work. Now I'm actually finishing up my degree at Northwestern University, and I'm looking into going to business law school to help represent small businesses, especially Latinos and minority businesses, help close that gap for resources and education. Because that's one thing that defaults. And we saw that through COVID. Most of them were not set up. Financial houses weren't set up. They weren't able to get grants. Businesses were closing. So how do we continue moving that message forward to close that gap, right? Create that sustainability. We have 3 agencies of government here. Okay, 3 agencies. We have our county, state, and city. Do you realize they are not prepared? They do not have material in Spanish for our Latinos. And so how do we bridge that gap? So that's one of the things in our agendas that we're working with in Chicago Latina is creating more resources in language to break down those barriers. So does anyone else have questions? No? Have y'all enjoyed your day? Have y'all been through the whole entire day? Yeah, no, you're like, no. Okay, wonderful. One of the things that I really enjoy the fact is Chicago Latina Magazine has members. And I felt that creating a membership it's more than a clubhouse membership. It's really about us pointing together, locking arms, and creating a sisterhood, because we know that each family is rich Latina, right? Every family, the mother is very prevalent to decision-making, even though the husband is as well. So how do we tie that in and continuing growing and immersing, enriching our Latinas through education? So we created an organization, and one of our members is Samantha. And so Samantha, when I first met Samantha, she was amazing. She was so excited. She has a whirlwind of education information under her belt about working with community. And she launched her marketing company. And how do we work? And I'd love to work with you on this and collaborate. I'm like, absolutely. Getting to know Samantha has been a definite joy, just like many of our members. Each one of them come with a story and each one of them come with a talent. One thing about Samantha is she's actually an alum from here. She actually graduated from Northeastern, and then she moved on to get her master's at Loyola. Yep. And so, but this is a prime example of how Chicago Latina came about. So I had the opportunity to meet Dr. Bedell at a conference. And of course, I'm as aggressive as I am as a Latina. Gotta get you on the phone, Dr. Bedell. Gotta get you on the phone, Dr. Bedell. Okay, Linda, what do you want? I give you 10 minutes of my time. I'm like, yay. And so I gave him, I talked to him, this Chicago Latina magazine. He goes like, we'd love to be a part of it. So let's talk and let's get this relationship going. But the persistence, I did not give up. And through that persistence, I was able to create opportunity, not for myself, for Chicago Latina, and creating that partnership that is a sponsorship. And then through that, we're able to engage and have relationships and bring Samantha to come speak with you as well. And then us being at this event, all that is networking, right? So one thing you have to remember as I leave the stage right now, before I pass to Samantha, is remember what a relationship is. It's a two-way path. It's a win-win situation. And everything you do, even if it's with your dog, you have a relationship with your sibling, with your parent, with your teacher, classmate, all that is a relationship. And if you know your skills and your strengths, you'll know how to navigate them and it will be a win-win. Okay, well, I'd like to present Samantha Alvarez. Thank you, Samantha. Oh, yeah.
Well, that is incredible. Northeastern is a Hispanic serving institution. And so I'm not surprised that we have a great representation of Latinos, Latinas, Latines, however you self-identify. But what does it mean to be a Latina? The Latina culture or the Latino culture in general, it's very diverse. It is a very diverse experience and there is no singular experience to what it means to be a Latino or a Latina. The identities of us as Latines are filled with many layers, shaped by factors such as geography, heritage, race, and gender. We've spent centuries expressing and preserving these identities, and which we have all contributed to this culture within the US and within the workplace. Who's proud of those that identify as Latinos? Who's proud to be a Latino? Who's proud to be a Latina? Yeah, I'm very proud of my culture, very proud of where I come from, and wherever you all identify as, I hope that you embrace and take those identities because it truly will fuel you to your purpose. So, but for this conversation for Latinos specifically, how does this translating, this identity of being a Latina, how does that translate into being a Latina in business? And so now we've got this slide up here for me to go into and to give you all a few statistics on Latinas in business. Latinas, we are on the rise. Today, the Latina population has grown at a faster rate than Latino men, at 24% of Latinas making up the total population compared to 22% of growth for Latino men. So Latinas, we're coming here. We're making waves out here, okay? For education, specifically for Latinas obtaining their education, Latinas have experienced a 52% rise in obtaining their college degree at Hispanic serving institutions similar to Northeastern from 2015 to 2020. And so with that, Latinas, we also make up the majority, 60% of the overall Latino population at Hispanic serving institutions. In 2020, Latinas earned over 300,000 degrees at Hispanic serving institutions compared to 188,000 degrees earned by Latino men. So we're getting educated out here. Latinas are truly on the rise to getting educated. How this translates into the workforce specifically, Latinas account for 16% of the female labor force. We are the second largest racial/ethnic group of women workers, according to the US Department of Labor. And so with that, that percentage is expected to increase. The Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates that Hispanic Americans in general will account for 78% of workers between 2020 and 2030. As Linda had mentioned, we will be the majority of this country approaching soon. And so that's something exciting. And so as that translates into the workforce, Hispanic and Latina women, we represent a critical and growing segment of the US labor market and economy. The increasing labor market participation of Latinas is helping to support the ongoing economic recovery and resilience of the American workforce, according to a report by the Joint Economic Commission in 2022. So we have a lot of power here. Latinos and Latinas have a lot of power. And so with that, Who is familiar with the wage gap amongst people of color and our white counterparts? Or who's familiar with the Latina wage gap in general? Can I get a show of hands? Okay, not so many of us. So let me give you a couple of statistics with regards to the Latina wage gap. Latinas, for every dollar earned by a non-Hispanic white man, a Latina earns, and these numbers fluctuate, but from the most recent statistics that I had seen, a Latina earns 57 cents on the dollar compared to a non-Hispanic white man. I think that's pretty unacceptable. Would you all agree? And just in general, I mean, compared to African-American women, compared to Asian women, I mean, we are the lowest paying group of any type of racial demographic. Latinas are the lowest paid out of everyone. And so with that, it's affecting us as a whole. And we really need to create sustainable change. The wage gap harms Latinas and the US economy and our families. Eliminating the wage gap would provide much needed income to Latinas, as many of them are heads of household who, as those that identify as Latina, mom runs the show. I don't know if that is the case, but mom runs the show in a lot of ways. It happens for some of us, right? And so with that, if the wage gap was eliminated, on average, a Latina woman would have enough money to afford one of the following major investments in her well-being and financial security, which include childcare, housing, insurance, debt, and namely student debt. So with that, how will Latinas help to eliminate the wage gap? Do we have any insight? Any idea? We'll go to the next slide. I'll tell you. How do we do that? Through entrepreneurship. That's how we do it. And so through entrepreneurship, Latinas are truly making waves with starting their businesses and going all in to bet on themselves and saying yes to themselves. If you can go to the next slide. The rise of Latinas in entrepreneurship. So Latina entrepreneurs have become increasingly important in recent years as Latinas are starting businesses at a rate 6 times the national average. Despite facing challenges such as access to capital, and we'll get into that a little bit later, and cultural barriers, Latina entrepreneurs are making significant contributions to the U.S. economy and society. We are the fastest growing segment of the business community. What's more, many of us are making a difference within the communities that we operate in. And while Latina entrepreneurs were one of the most groups hardest hit by the pandemic, people and our culture, our society, they are now seeing Latina entrepreneurs as the key to spur on economic recovery. I'll give you a couple of more stats on entrepreneurship for Latinas. According to the National Women's Business Council, there are over 2 million Latina-owned businesses in the country, which is a growth of more than 87% in 2007. A 2021 report in Latinas in Business stated that Latinas represented 40% of all Latino businesses. And we can definitely see why that these businesses are helping to fuel the US economy. We can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so what are the benefits of Latina entrepreneurship? And there are several. I've condensed them to just a couple over here, just 3, just for the sake of our conversation today. The benefits of Latina entrepreneurship: economic empowerment and financial stability, which we've already touched upon. According to a report by the National Women's Business Council, Latina-owned businesses employ nearly 600,000 people and generate over $97 billion in revenue. And by starting their own businesses, Latinas can create opportunities and generate income for themselves and their families. That's the point of entrepreneurship, right? To be your own boss and to generate income for yourselves and achieve that financial freedom, right? So that financial independence can also help to break the cycle of poverty and improve the overall quality of life for Latinas and their communities. According to a study by the Stanford Graduate School of Business, the U.S. economy could see a significant boost if Latinas were able to overcome the obstacles that prevent them from starting and growing their own businesses. And there are quite a few, okay? And we'll get into that in a little bit. But the study estimated that the increasing number of Latina-owned businesses by 50% could lead to an increase in gross domestic product for up to 1.4 trillion. So we have a lot of buying power. Latinas and Latinos in general have a lot of buying power. And if we tapped into that and harnessed it, we could make a lot of great change in our economy for the United States. Other point here, for a benefit of Latina entrepreneurship, this supports by closing the wage gap. We already had this conversation about what
what the wage gap looks like and how to close that. By starting their own businesses, Latinas can create their own income and have more control over their earning potential. Self-employment or entrepreneurship, and I've already said this, has traditionally been studied as a pathway for upward mobility among ethnic and immigrant groups who view it as a strategy to increase their financial security and a chance to provide a better life for their children and families. By Latinas starting their own business, this will help close the gender pay gap and create more opportunities for women to succeed in the workforce. Last point here for the benefits of Latina entrepreneurship is innovation and diversity in business. Who off the top of their head, who can tell me a Latin or a Latino owned business that comes off the top of their head that's like well-known or reputable? Anyone know? Does anyone know, her name is Julissa Prado. She is the founder of Rizos Curls. If anyone know any like hair products, no? Okay. She's a young woman, created her own, used her identity as a Mexican Chicana woman, beautiful curly hair, and used that as one of the forerunners in the beauty industry to change the game for women who have curly hair, and created incredible products by that. And through that innovation and identity, self-identity, she's making $1 million brand for herself. I think a lot of us, we know Jennifer Lopez here. We all know J-Lo, right? So J-Lo has gone into her entrepreneurial ventures, and she went ahead and started her own alcoholic beverage line called DeLola, you know? And so with that, using their identity, Latinas using their identity, it's an advantage to them using their identity and creating innovative solutions to be able to market and share their stories. There's a lot of storytelling as it comes to being a Latino, and through Latinos building their businesses and brands, they're telling the story of the identities of who they are. And so by bringing their unique perspectives and experiences to the table, Latina entrepreneurs can create products and services that meet the needs of their diverse communities. So those are some of the benefits of Latina entrepreneurship. So we'll move forward a little bit here. We can go to the next slide. Why invest in a Latina-owned business? If anyone knows a Latino or a Latina, they know that Latinos or Latinas' work comes from the heart. It comes from the heart. Latinas and Latines in general, we bring a strong work ethic anywhere that we go, and that commitment to family and that belief that given the opportunity, we can earn our way for a better pathway for our children and for our families. We also thrive in environments that can build strong relationships with coworkers or with colleagues in general, and amid a culture of collaboration and respect. This human-centered approach to work is well-suited, especially as it relates to challenges post-pandemic in the workplace. Additionally, the anatomy of the Latina entrepreneur is based on a series of fundamentals, which include the importance of tradition, of family, of faith, culture, and bilingualism, among others. So with that, you'll know when you invest in a Latina-owned business, you are going to get all heart and all passion. Another reason why to invest in a Latina-owned business, it is the key to revitalizing our communities. And there is a strong trend between Latina-owned businesses investing in their own communities and those neighborhoods seeing a period of economic revitalization. Who can give me off the top of their heads a well-known neighborhood here in Chicago that is very Latino, Hispanic focused or centered? Right in this area, right? Right in this area. Can you give me another community? Pilsen, absolutely. You see a vibrant Mexican community in Pilsen, right? Little Village, La Villita, right there, neighboring Pilsen, right? And again, another beautiful Mexican vibrant community. Anyone else? Can you give me a, yes. Humboldt Park. I'm Puerto Rican. I'm half Puerto Rican. So I was born and raised in Humboldt Park. Very vibrant, thriving, beautiful Puerto Rican community. I agree. Any others? Any others? I think those, yes. Logan Square, absolutely. That is another very, I'll get into that a little bit, but absolutely. You see a lot of Latinos. And to this point, as Linda mentioned, I mean, Latinos are well on their way to becoming the majority in this country by 2050. We're on the rise. And so with that, by Latinos and Latina entrepreneurs reinvesting within their own communities, we'll see that spur, we'll see that economic growth. And, you know, we don't have to get into the topics of gentrification and all of that, right? But with that, you see people wanting culture and people loving that vibrant culture because it's a form of identity. And you see people moving into these communities, perhaps oftentimes because they're not They're not, it gives them a sense of identity to be a part of such a beautiful, vibrant culture. You see a lot of that in Pilsen. You see a lot of that in the Humboldt Park, Logan Square areas, how they've changed over the years, right? And so as Latinos and Latinas continue to invest in their communities, we'll see that revitalization and how we'll see that economic growth moving forward. Give you guys a couple more points over here. The growth rates of Latina or Latina-owned businesses, 25% are owned by Latinas and have a yearly growth rate of 10%, which is 4% higher than those of businesses owned by Hispanic men. So Latinas are definitely in the majority as it relates to their Latino-owned counterparts. We're starting businesses at a much faster, at a higher rate than Latino men. And by 2060, Latinas will represent more than 1/3 of the US female population, and we are also the fastest growing sector of the entrepreneurial market. It's safe to say that the business acumen is a strength of an area of strength for Latinas. And as I'd mentioned here on this slide, the anatomy of a Latina entrepreneur, it's hard work, as I had mentioned. A thirst for learning and giving back are the building blocks of their success. If anyone has a tía, they know that tía is going to be the first one to give you, ay, mijo, comiste algo? Or did you eat something? You know, they're the first ones to serve you. And with that serving and giving servant heart, you see how Latinas pour it all into their businesses and how they want to be able to serve through their goods and to be able to serve their market. So with that, how do you support a Latina-owned business? Can we move to the next slide, please? Thank you. How to support. You shop local and you buy Latina-owned. So with that, making a conscious effort to seek out and support Latina-owned businesses in your community is one way, of course, how you can support. And this includes restaurants, grocery stores, boutiques, and the areas and the neighborhoods in which we've already mentioned. Go to your local, we don't call them bodegas here, but your local bodega, right? Go to your, I just came back from New York a couple of weeks ago, and the bodega is what's known out there in New York, right? But go to your local corner store. I think that's what we call it here in Chicago, right? Go to your local, favorite restaurant that's Latino owned, Latina owned, right? I mean, my gosh, Chicago has such a beautiful, vibrant Mexican community here. You can find a Mexican restaurant within probably a 1-mile radius anywhere you go, right? Shops, just whatever that looks like, there is a plethora of opportunities to be able to shop local and to shop Latina owned. And with that, you're helping to revitalize and helping build the economy of Latinos, Latinas, and our economy altogether. Another way to support is by shaping and amplifying the narrative. For small businesses, social media, who here is on TikTok, on Instagram? You know, I think a lot of us here are on social media, right? And so you see a lot of businesses, a lot of small business owners, they're using this free platform to market themselves. Obviously, with means of advertising, those are expensive. So social media has become the platform in which we can storytell and for small business owners to share and promote their services. With that, it offers a unique opportunity to authentically connect with their customers, tell their stories, and grow their brand. As I had mentioned, with advertising, it's a very disproportionately expensive way to be able to market themselves. But as I had mentioned, using platforms like TikTok, it really helps to grow. TikTok has a program called Creciendo con TikTok, which means grow with TikTok in Spanish, which is a $200,000 grant fund that will provide cash awards of up to anywhere between $5,000 up to $5,000 to 40 Latina small business owners who have demonstrated perseverance, resourcefulness, hard work, entrepreneurial vision to their communities. And so with finding opportunities like that and to be able to grow their platform on social media, share, like a post, support, follow, and buy. And that's how you'll be able to effectively support a Latina-owned business. A couple of other points here to support a Latina-owned business is by donating to a local Latino Giving Circle network. Who here is familiar with what a Giving Circle is by any chance? Okay, I didn't think so. It's not a very known common, especially since you all are business majors here. The fundraising, and I'll get into my background and what I do. Giving circles are incredible ways to be able to invest within your community, and that money gets funneled out to be able to help those as a whole, to be able to fuel whatever initiatives that you all are driving. So representing diverse cultural, generational, and professional identities, it gives us a chance to flex our collective power and invest in our community. And so essentially Giving Circles it's a community-driven model that puts philanthropy back into the hands of everyday people. They vary in size, in location, and focus, but they share the same basic approach, which is basically a group of people, and they're going to pull their resources together, and they would be monetary resources to collectively contribute to issues that deem important in their community. And you can find Giving Circles within any demographic that you find. It's just a quick Google search to decide whatever Giving Circle you'd like to support. And so with that, in turn, members, they become more strategic philanthropists and more engaged change makers by creating ripple effects of giving and creating action across their communities. So by donating and investing into a Giving Circle, not only does it benefit them, but it benefits you as well. And lastly, increasing capital to Latina entrepreneurs. This is it's the numbers are low when it comes to the number of Latina-owned businesses or Black-owned businesses, just people, BIPOC entrepreneurs in general. There is a limited funding pool of increasing capital to individuals like us that are entrepreneurs. And so with that access to capital, it's probably the number one issue for us to be able to grow in our businesses. A couple of stats that I have here for you all. Only 51% of Latina entrepreneurs who apply for funding through bank loans are approved. Only 51%. So we're only being approved by half, compared to 77% of white business owners. And this has only been exacerbated by the pandemic. 87% of Latina business owners reported a negative impact on their businesses due to the pandemic, and they had issues seeking relief from PPP loans. All the relief loans that were out there during COVID, they weren't handing them out to BIPOC businesses as much as they were handing them off to their white counterparts, unfortunately. And because of this funding gap, many Latina business owners, they sought out riskier funding channels, such as taking on credit card debt or seeking out predatory merchant cash advances. And by this lack of access to capital, it sets Latina businesses, it sets BIPOC businesses in general further back. And so when institutions open the doors to invest in entrepreneurs, people of color, it helps to, again, close the wage gap and to be able to fuel opportunities for people of color that are in need and seeking those opportunities. And so with that, one striking reason of this lack of investment in Hispanic-owned and Latina businesses in general is also the need for Hispanic representation in the investor space. There are not a lot of us out there. Only 4% of investment partner positions in US venture capital firms are held by Latino descent. And we've got to do better. We have to do better. You all as future business owners, as people pursuing business degrees, hopefully one day you will be in those positions of power to be able to fuel back and give back to your communities, to be able to invest in those that are seeking opportunities that are going to fuel better for your demographics and beyond. So all of us, as you all continue to pursue your degrees and pursue business ventures, you all one day will be able to have the power to be able to be like, I am going to be able to invest in this business as a person of color, as a Latino, as however you identify. The power is in us to be able to give back. So with that, I have a quote that I'm going to put up here. In the spirit of collaboration, there is room for everyone to be successful, but it is up to us, as I had mentioned, it is up to us to create that space. Believing in our community can only lead to creating bigger opportunities for those that we love. And that goes in general, however you identify. Obviously, my presentation is speaking to Latinos and Latinas in specific, but that goes for everyone. Those of us that have the heart and have the passion to be able to want to see growth and change for our communities, there's room for all of us to be great. So with that, into that quote, I want to be able to just have now, moving away from the formal part of my presentation, is to share with you all my journey to entrepreneurship. And so here on the left, you'll see that's baby Samantha. That's a picture of me. I grew up in Chicago. I'm a Chicago native. I'm of Puerto Rican and Honduran descent. My mom is from Honduras. She came to Honduras here in the late 80s. My father is a Chicago Puerto Rican. His parents came to Chicago from Puerto Rico in the late 50s. And so my father is a Chicago Humble Park Puerto Rican. And so with that, I'm a first generation Latina. And I'm the first in my family to obtain a graduate level degree. Who here is a first gen college student? That is incredible. You all are making waves to be able to break barriers and create generational wealth in the future to create those strides for you and your family and you know, above and beyond. So give yourselves a round of applause because you guys are saying yes to investing in yourselves. So as I am a proud Northeastern in here. I think I'm going to transition. Let's see if this works over here. Sorry, guys, because let's see, is this working? Wonderful. So that way I can walk around. Can you go back to the slide? Thank you so much. And as Linda had mentioned, I am also a proud Northeastern alum. You all heard it took me 8 years to graduate with my bachelor's degree. And my background actually is in social work. How do you pivot from social work to marketing, right? What does that look like? And I'll get into that in a little bit here. But I've roamed these halls of Northeastern, and with Northeastern being an incredible institution, and I think statistically, I'm sure that this is still the case. It's one of the most diverse universities in the state, if not one of the most in the country. You'll see people of every demographic represented here at Northeastern, which is incredible. And that was something when I wanted to invest in my education. I wanted an affordable university. I wanted something that was going to prepare me for my future. And to see people and professors that look like me, to be able to see that one day I could do that. And one day I could be giving the lectures and giving and leading the conversations. And so here at Northeastern, I've been given such wonderful opportunities to be able to grow and to flourish in my professional career. And I'm so thankful for my time here at Northeastern. I hope you all are enjoying and having a wonderful experience here at Northeastern Illinois University as well. So as I mentioned, my background was in social work. I really, my heart, as a Chicago native, I went to Lane Tech here in the city. And then when I came here to Northeastern, I was like, well, what do I want to do? I knew that I wanted to help people. I knew I had a very, as an extrovert, I had a humanitarian heart and I just wanted to serve and help people in my community. At first, I was pursuing a degree in sociology, but I felt that degree was a little too theoretical for me. So I met with one of my advisors, and with that, he was like, well, how about social work? I could put social work to practice and I can do that. And I was like, that's a great idea. I'll change my degree. I'll change my major to social work. And that set me back a little bit so that way I can go ahead and graduate in those 8 years as I had mentioned. But with that, I really thought that I was going to use my social work degree and to be able to pursue that discipline. And so with that, I graduated in 2017. And then I transferred to Loyola University in Chicago. Northeastern did not yet have their social work program here, which is why I could not finish my degree here in social work. So I ended up transferring to Loyola. And actually, how I fell into my background, which I'll get to my next point here. I was looking for a job. I'm sure a lot of us, do a lot of us here work and go to school at the same time? Yeah, I did that too. That was me. I worked, I had to fulfill my internship hours, and I went to school. So I was pretty busy as a student. And so with that, I transferred over to Loyola, but my background was actually in nonprofit administration. Leadership and Development in Social Service was the exact title that I had pursued when I got my MSW at Loyola. So it was more the business side of running a nonprofit. And so this kind of trickles into how I fell into marketing. And so with that, my first job was as a development assistant. And so I was the one plugging in numbers and just punching in data into a computer and acknowledging donors and all that good stuff. And it was my first job. I had no idea what fundraising or development work looked like. I was like, I need a job, and I'm in college, so I just needed a job. And so that's how I fell into it. But it led me into this trajectory of where you all see me today. And so I've been an experienced nonprofit administration and fundraising professional for over 10 years. Recently, I had a conversation with another professional here in the city. And this number 10, it's a really significant number, and I want you all to remember this number. The number 10, as it relates to anything in your career or in business, that's what defines an expert in their field. I'm not going to call myself an expert, but I've been around and I've seen some things within the nonprofit administration space. So I've, essentially, if I wanted to run a nonprofit, I definitely could. But life had other plans for me. And so during the pandemic, as a lot of us, right? A lot of us were working from home or didn't work or whatever that looked like. The pandemic 2020 was a very interesting time for all of us, right? I think we did a lot of self-evaluation and a lot of evaluation about what life is going to look like. We had no idea navigating this unprecedented world of COVID. So during COVID, I was like, you know what? I think I want to make a change in my discipline as a fundraiser. There are a lot of transferable skills from fundraising into marketing. I did a lot of our social media. I did a lot of communications efforts. I did a lot of things that someone in marketing would do within the fundraising and development space. So with that, I knew that I was a creative. I love to create. I love to network. I love to help people build community. And I like to sell things, and that's what fundraisers do. And so marketing essentially is just a way to sell. It's a way to sell goods, products, and to sell a story, essentially, right? So I took all of those transferable skills and I came up with the concept of Inspirate Marketing Co. And so Inspirate, or Inspírate, and as a Latina and as someone that is Spanish speaking, for those that know, Inspírate in Spanish means to inspire yourself. And so with that, if we can go on to the next slide, I would love to talk to you more about my company and what Inspirate is and what I do with Inspirate Marketing Co. So Inspirate Marketing Co., we were founded with the desire to support businesses, both small and large, to grow and scale their brands, all while maintaining a passionate approach that motivates our clients to both inspire and create. And so the word Inspirate is just it's basically a mashup of two words, to inspire and to create. And that's how I came up with Inspirate, or Inspírate in Spanish. And our vision is to help build together specific and innovative solutions tailored to a business's needs that will help to elevate their brand, to increase overall growth, and to convert followers. This is namely when it comes to the digital marketing space, as we know that social media is a big driver to be able to market to the masses. So specifically when it comes to digital marketing, to convert followers into paying customers seeking the on reinvestment that they desire. And basically, this is just my tagline. And I want to encourage you all in general. Overall, we believe at Inspirate, and a philosophy of my own is that I believe, and we all should believe, that you should do what inspires you, or haz que te inspire. And I'll share a really inspiring story that really led me and just felt like I was walking into my purpose with Inspirate. I went on a trip to Colombia in 2022. And on that trip, I was going through a lot of life changes and a lot of transition. And, life has a good way of, life be lifing sometimes. Can we just keep it real? So life was lifing for me at that moment. And with that, I had a moment where at the hotel I was staying at with my friend at the time, I had seen a sign, and that sign said, haz que te inspire. And I just took that sign for me to take that, and I internalized that. And I was like, you know what? I'm meant to do this. This is something that I feel like I should pursue. So however, any signs that you all read from a higher power, from the universe, whatever you believe in, take those and believe them, because if the universe is telling you something, it's probably because that's the direction in which you should go towards. So with that, I felt the confidence and the power to move forward and to found Inspirate Marketing in late 2022. Can we go to the next slide, please? And so just to give you a little bit of insight on my company and the services that we provide, and we're not limited to this, but overall, we work on brand strategy. And so I help to architect brands. I help to work with the business owners that I work with to basically, what's the way how I can be that brand architect to be able to bring their vision to come to life and to be able to tell their story through their brand. And so through that's done by a lot of different creative means. And so that could either be done by creating a logo, by helping to build a website, any ideas for overall content creation. I, as Inspirate and my team, we are that sounding board to help business owners and brands to help them to inspire and create. So that's one of our services. social media marketing and consulting. We provide that creative input to elevate social media presence that will be able to attract and streamline the type of audience so that way we can see consistent engagement and also convert those followers into paying customers. So that's also something that I do with Inspirate. Additionally, paid advertisements is a way. Who gets bombarded with all the advertisements on social media? Whoever, if you think of something, it pops up maybe a couple of hours later, right? The algorithm and just technology, it just knows a way to pinpoint you. So I, through those means, through paid advertisements and then through other means like search engine optimization and like all those other platforms, right? To be able to effectively target customers for the business owners and the brands that I work with. We help to support and build that sales pipeline so that way we can convert those users into paying customers overall. So those are some of the services that I provide through Inspirate. In the future, I am absolutely looking to expand. If we can go to the next slide, please. Other opportunities or services. I have extensive experience in events management. In the nonprofit space, I've helped to lead events, both small and large, whatever that looks like, to be able to create opportunities of networking. And we're seeing in the pandemic, more people are looking for opportunities to be able to network and to foster and to find that sense of that, to find that community. And so with that, I help to promote those services. If let's say it's a brand activation that a business owner wants me to help them lead, that's something that I can absolutely help them with. And in specific, I'll get into this in a little bit. With the events that I lead, I also create networking opportunities specifically for women and women business owners to be able to, to help business owners and BIPOC business women owners to be able to help them to network and to be able to find have opportunities for collaboration. So that's another service that I do with Inspirate. Also, public relations. PR is a really important, it's an art of creating lasting relationships. And that's based on respect and truth existing in the public domain, right? So how do I effectively work with other channels to be able to market and to help brands to grow? And that's through means of PR, working with different media outlets or news outlets to be able to help business owners to be able to spread the word and have the world to see and hear their vision and to hear their message. So those are some of the other opportunities I provide through Inspirate. If we can go to the next slide, please. And so with that, I'm just going to put a little plug for an opportunity that I am leading. It's coming up next week, Friday, which is so fast approaching. And this is a first of a couple of series that I plan to do with Inspirate. It's specific to women, but it's honestly open to all, to all groups, all genders, all races, it doesn't matter. Anyone that wants to be an ally, but anyone that supports and believes in women. March is Women's History Month. And so I did that purposefully to be able to elevate the voices of women and women entrepreneurs, specifically BIPOC women, for a time of just connection and inspiration. And so with that, I have a panel of incredible dynamic powerhouse women entrepreneurs that are going to be able to share and to speak to business owners and to professionals in general, to be able to share their secrets and to be able to share insights on how they did it and how they became powerful dynamic brands or just institutions within Chicago and in the community. I'll share one of the businesses that the panelists that'll be at the event. Her name is her business is called Hana Hana Beauty, and Hana Hana, she's a Black-owned brand, and she sources shea butter from Ghana. She used her identity to be able to create this incredible product that is now on the shelves of Ulta. I think that's pretty incredible, wouldn't you say, as a Black-owned business owner, to be able to have their product that she created in her own kitchen to now have that grace the shelves of Ulta Beauty? That's incredible. So how did she do it? That's what we're going to talk about at this event. So if you want to go ahead and scan the QR code, that's a way to go ahead and purchase tickets. It's going to be an incredible time. And if you all follow Inspirate Marketing, there are definitely going to be incredible opportunities to be able to network. And that's a lot of what I do with Inspirate. So that's our Inspirate Nights event that is happening on March 15th. We can go to the next slide, please. So I want to share with you all my lessons that I've learned so far in entrepreneurship. And so with that, it is never too late to reinvent yourself. You all are hearing my journey from being a social worker, quote unquote. I never had my license, but I have a degree and background in social work. And I made this pivot to marketing just a couple of years ago. It is never too late to reinvent yourself. Societal pressures tell us that we have to be confined or put into a box. I feel as a Latina, as a product of the Chicago public school system, and having faced a lot of significant hardships in my life, life could have looked a lot more differently for me. It could have looked a lot different, but my persistence, my resilience, and my determination and my tenacity have really fueled me to believe that I can bet on myself. And I know that whatever I put my mind to, I can do it. And to know that it's never too late to reinvent yourself. So right now, not that I'm encouraging you or discouraging you all from moving from your degrees, because I think it is so valuable and we absolutely need more individuals and more people of color in the marketing and the business space. We need more of you all in those spaces. We need you all. But if at any point you feel that it's time to make a pivot, remember that it's never too late to reinvent yourself. My second point here, as a lesson learned for entrepreneurship, do it afraid. I will tell you, I'll go into a business meeting or I'll go to a sponsor or I'll go to a conversation and, I have my best face forward and, me coming in and me all strong, but in the inside, I'm going to tell you all, I'm shaking in my boots and I'm saying a prayer, asking the good Lord to help me to hear a yes, right? And so with that, it's okay to do things afraid. Let fear be the fuel to fire you into your destiny. It's really, I can't tell you enough times, even just betting on yourself and starting a business, that takes a lot of courage, right? That takes a lot of courage to be able to say, I'm going to bet on myself. And I just encourage you, just do it afraid. You're going to figure out the way. And there is no pathway to success. There is no right pathway. It's attainable. Just do it. And so my last here lesson learned in entrepreneurship, network. Get yourself out there. Get to meet other people, get to go into business spaces, attend networking events, get your LinkedIn profile ready, put yourself out there, network to meet people who will take you to your next stop on the train to destiny. I have done so much networking this past year in 2023 that is now fueling me to be able to achieve the heights that I'm achieving. One of those was being with meeting Linda from Chicago Latina magazine. And through creating networking opportunities and going to networking opportunities to be able to collaborate, those collaborations are going to help you. And as we're all, and for Chicago Latina, with this magazine, with this incredible network that Linda has fostered, I've built friendships, I've built sisterhood, I've created so many wonderful connections that are helping me to go above and beyond in my business. And that wouldn't happen without the power of collaboration. We're stronger in numbers, everyone, and we're not meant to do this life alone. So those that tell you, those that are gatekeepers, those that are, people that are just trying, no, don't be a gatekeeper, collaborate, help other people to grow. It is worth it. It is absolutely worth it. So with that, I encourage you to network. Give me 1 second. We'll definitely do some Q&A really quickly. Can we go to the next slide, please? I think this is the end of my presentation here. So I am going to end with this quote that I had found. The opposite of success is not failure, it's being stuck. You all have a unique gift that's meant to be shared. When it's fully aligned, when you're fully aligned with this everlasting gift, an unshakable confidence becomes real. And this is said by Jennifer Villarreal, who is a fellow Latina entrepreneur and business owner. And this quote speaks so specifically to me with that, just knowing that when you fully align yourself with who you are, your passions, and what you're fueled to do, there's nothing that can stop you. And that is absolutely a wonderful lesson learned in entrepreneurship. With that said, I think we can go to the next slide. I think I am finishing up here, and that's what I have for you all. Thank you so much for your time. It is my pleasure to speak to you all about what it means to be a Latina in business. With that, does anyone have any questions? I know did you have a question? Yeah.
Not trying to help the younger generation do bigger things, but I see that with the younger generations, we strive to work together to keep building that community, and that's why I appreciate you guys for coming, because that's what you guys are doing. You're inspiring Latinos and Latinas. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other questions they'd like to ask or share? Yes. Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That way I don't have to project. In any of those studies, I'm reading a book that talks about how we are not currently collecting enough sex disaggregated data. Do you ever find issues with finding sex disaggregated or ethnic disaggregated data in trying to find, more meaningful either market research or again, research that would help the communities that you support?
Yeah, that's a great question. As it relates to data, I mean, again, because there is this lack of people reporting out. So these statistics and these demographics, right, they're limited, right? It's very limited because one, we need more people in those sectors and those fields to be able to fuel and to be able to report out on that data. So when it comes to, the research, the market analyses that I try to do for my clients, I do the best that I can with the resources and with the limited resources that, are out there, but we have to do better, right? We absolutely have to do better. It's not a great answer to your question, but I mean, it really lends to this, this gap, right? In terms of reporting, the actual statistics that are out there to report for, how our Latinos and Latinas have this, creating this buying power, right? How are we going to be able to fuel and contribute? One statistic that I didn't mention in the presentation was collectively the buying power of Latinos. If we were all to really contribute to our buying power, we would be comparable in GDP to countries of Italy, of Canada. Like it's insane, just how much buying power there is for Latinos. But we need the research. We need those researchers to be able to effectively storytell and see, and to show like just the opportunity there is with investing in Latinos. So there is a need for data. Absolutely. Thank you for your question. Any other questions? Okay, well, I think we are at time, give or take a couple of minutes here. Everyone, it was an absolute pleasure for me to be with you all today. You all can connect with me via Instagram. It's at Inspirate Marketing. I have my email up there for you, Samantha@inspiratemarketing.com, and then my website at inspiratemarketing.com. So if you are ever wanting to connect, feel free to connect with me on those platforms. And I wish you all the best in your careers and your education journeys. Continue at it. It is worth the investment. You are worth the investment. Thank you.